This
free session
conference
for.
will now be recorded.
Okay, so today is the last free session for this particular training. So if you have any doubts, any questions regarding the training, the course, the curriculum, the payments, everything, please feel free to reach out to the Isha Training Institute for the same. Okay, so let's get started. I'm sharing my screen, and if you are able to see, just let me know. And yeah, just like always, please keep yourself unmuted. If you have any questions, any doubts, please raise your hands. Right, or if I ask you some question in between, then of course you can of course unmute yourself. Okay, so let me share my screen. So it should be visible to you, but can one of you please confirm?
See it.
Okay, you are able to see. Perfect. So yesterday I was starting with random numbers, but unfortunately I ran out of time, so I could complete it. So today I want to talk about something that is very, very important. Now, why is generating random numbers important? Let me give you some example. Let's say you are working into a real-time project. You may want to create, say, a couple of users, right? That is a requirement. But after creating one user, if you are using the same data again, your system will reject, saying that we already have this data present in our database. So suppose if I'm creating a user with this email ID, say piyush.gupta@gmail.com, something, right? So first time it is going to allow. Second time it is not going to allow. Why? You already have this user in your database. In that case, what should you do? Right? Either you go and delete this user in the database, one option, which is not the right or recommended approach, or a better approach is what? Right? Use dynamic data, or basically generate some random kind of data. So this is something I'm going to teach you. So today I'll be talking about very basic data, which is called as generating random numbers. I'm not talking about random strings. I'll be talking about random strings later on, but as of now I'm just talking about generating random data. So the very first step is we have to use a function called random. So why do I have to use random? Because this is a function inside the math utility object which helps me generate a random number between 0 and 1. Can I predict what number it is going to generate? No, I cannot. That is why it is called as random number. So let me give you a simple example. So if I go to my Google, I right click and inspect. And yeah, if you remember, I told you we can run JavaScript inside the Chrome browser, right? So this is exactly what I'm going to do. So if I'll simply hit enter. So you see, I got a fractional number between 0 and 1. 0, in a very rare case, the answer or output can be 0, but it can never be 1. So output can be between 0 and 1, where 1 is not exclusive, not inclusive, I mean. So output can never be 1. Okay, so if I run this code again, I'll use up arrow key, hit enter. See, again a fresh random data. Again up arrow key. So every time it is generating a fresh data. Now, what is my requirement? My requirement is to generate a random number between, say, 1 to 10. This is what my requirement is. So what do I do? So if I'm able to basically generate a random number like this, I have to perform some couple of operations to make it work. So the very first operation is, if I want to generate a random data between 1 and 10. So what about if I multiply this number by 10? Can you see the output now? I'm getting a slightly better output. Again up arrow key, hit enter. Again up arrow key, hit enter. Can you see? I'm getting a slightly better output. 4 point something, 5 point something, again 5 point something. Up arrow key again 7 point something. So I'm getting slightly closer to my final output, but I'm not done yet. What I have to do? What if I can remove all of this number? So I'm getting a random number, say 5, again 5, 7, and so on. So in JavaScript, we have a method called math.floor. So what does this floor method do? It simply removes, or in other words, it simply chops off the decimal part. Okay, so this is what I'm trying to do. So math.floor, math.random into 10. Now see the output: 3, 7, 7 again, 8, 1, 9. Okay, in one of the rare cases, you will also see the output as 0, right? Which is not what I want. Why? Because suppose if I am able to get a random number between 0 and 10 instead of 1 and to 10, what if I try to do some mathematical operations, and if the output is 0, it will actually make my entire mathematical operation as 0. So just to be safe, a better option is what? Just add 1 to it. Okay, in this case, I can guarantee that my output can never be 0, right? And this is actually a random number between 1 and 10. So if you see, this is the output. Sorry, 1 and 10. So now if I keep on running like this, up arrow key, enter, 4, 5, 8, 9, 10. See, I'm getting this output as 10 also, right? So let me make it even more simpler for you. So what happens is the maximum value of math.random can be what? It can be 0.999, right? So I'm talking about the maximum realistic value. See, I told you one is not inclusive, means the output can never be one. It can be 0.9999. So if I want to generate a maximum number between 1 and 10, any random number between 1 and 10, so what do? I multiply it by 10. So I'm taking the edge case wherein it is a maximum number. So if I multiply 0.9999 into 10, what is the output? 9.999, right? So this is what I get. Now, what do I have to do? If I do something, so if I now remove just the decimal part using math.floor, the output is what? Just 9. So math.floor basically chops or removes the entire decimal part. It doesn't round it like math.round. It simply removes or chops it. So I'm left with only number 9. So can you see the problem now? I wanted to generate a random number between 1 and 10. So I multiplied it with 10. So this is my range that I want to multiply it with. But I want to generate a random number between 1 and 10. So this is actually a random number between 0 and 9. So in order to make it from 1 to 10, just add 1 to it. And that is exactly what I did. Just look at this piece of code now. This might look a little tricky, people who have never done coding before, but trust me, it's not difficult. It is simple. Let us go step by step. Firstly, generate any random number between 0 and 1, multiply it by 10. So if we multiply it by 10, we get this output. So I'm taking the maximum value just to show you an example. Otherwise, in reality, it can be any number between 0 and 1. I'm taking the maximum value just to show you what is the maximum output I can get. Okay, so if I multiply it by 10, I get this output 9.999. And finally, I do what? I remove the decimal part using math.flow. So I'm left with only number 9. And lastly, I need to just add 1 to it. So that is what the output is. I'm getting a random number between 1 and 10. Any questions in this, please do ask me. But this is something which is very important. You will use this
Hi,
particular part.
it's hello.
Yeah. Yes, please go on.
Uh,
What's your
is
name?
this Tosca session is going on?
Tosca sessions. There must be some Tosca sessions going on. I'm not aware of it. In fact, I don't teach Tosca
Oh, but
only.
this is not the Tosca session, right? Okay.
Yes, this is not the Tosca session. Did you join some wrong session by any chance?
Yeah, sounds like. So which one is this? Which session is going on?
This session is basically for JavaScript and Playwright.
Oh, okay. Then this is the wrong session. Okay. Thank you so
Oh,
much. Bye.
okay. Any questions, guys? Any questions? Nope. Okay.
What
So
if,
this is yes.
sorry, Page, this is
Yeah, yeah,
Lakshmi.
yeah,
Uh,
Lakshmi, please go ahead.
what if math dot random itself is 0? Then 0 multiplies then by 10, first step will only
Exactly.
fail.
Not fail, not fail. Yeah, that's a very interesting question. So let's say math.random, suppose if it gives value as 0, right? So I get the output as 0. What is the next step that I have to do? I just have to do what? I'll show you. So if this is 0, correct? I multiply it by 10. So 0 multiplied by 10 is what? 0 again, right?
Yeah.
So what am I doing? Math.floor, right? I'm doing math.floor. So basically I'm trying to remove this decimal point. Anyways, it does not have a decimal point. So the output is 0 only. And
Right.
finally, I'm adding 1 to it. So can you see the
Okay.
output can never be 0?
Okay.
This addition of 1 is actually ensuring that the output can never be 0 and the output will always be between 1 and 10. Just so why I'm adding 1 just for this edge case in case that I get 0 as a random number. I hope now it makes sense.
Yes, that makes sense. Thank you.
So Piyush, in case of string indices or arrow indexes,
Uh,
if you want to have the random number from 0, including 0 to 10,
Okay, in the case of arrays, yes, array indexes start from 0 and 10, but I'm talking about random generation,
yeah. So
random
if
number
you want
generation.
to have
Hmm,
the random number
correct.
from 0 to 10,
Hmm.
so how can we include 0?
Okay, if you want to have a 0 and 10 actually, in that case, don't just add 1. It's as simple. In
But it
this
will be
case,
9.999, right? Not 10.
so I didn't get that. Please come again. You want to generate what?
I want to generate the random numbers from 0 to 10, inclusive 0 and inclusive 10.
0 and 10. Okay,
Yeah.
if you want to generate a random number between 0 and 10, in that case, you just have to remove this plus 1.
So, but 10 will never come up, right?
10 will never come up. Yes. Okay. I get it. Okay. So you want to generate a random number between 0 and 10. But you want to make sure that the output is inclusive of 0 and 10. That
Yeah,
is
for
what you are
example,
saying.
yeah, for example, the length of array is 11. Sorry, this is
Huh?
out of context. The length of
No, no,
array is
that's
11.
okay.
So I want the indices from 0 to 10 because it starts from 0. So
Okay.
0, but in that case, 11 is not included, right? 10
Right.
is
Huh?
so how do
Okay.
we generate that random inclusive 0 and also 10 also I want that.
Okay, so in this case, what I'll do is I would suggest just hold on for some time because I'll be talking about this particular part because especially in the case of functions, I'll be teaching you like how to generate the random indexes for arrays. And this is something that is going to be covered in detail actually in there.
Okay, okay, Push.
I hope like at least this particular part is clear. How do we generate random numbers?
Yeah, yeah, it's clear.
Okay, right. So, okay, to me, to give you a simple answer in your case, right, you can do like this. Okay, in this case, see, I'm getting zero also.
But
Getting
0, okay, 11. Yeah, you get 0
yeah,
also.
I get zero also. So what I can do is it's a very simple hack actually. If I want to basically generate any random number between 1 and x, so I just multiply it by x plus 1.
Yeah, yeah, that's
Is it
clear.
making sense? So
Yeah,
0, it yeah, see, 0 is there, 1 is also there, but 11 will never be there. It can be 10.
yeah, it can be 10. I got it. Yeah,
Okay, but that's a very interesting question. Thank you so much, Satish. Okay,
yeah, no problem.
so with this, we are completing this random generation part as well. Okay, so any questions in this or notes? Okay, never mind. So next part, right? So there's another very important function in JavaScript which is called as parse int, right? So and yeah, uh, guys, I have actually created a folder in JavaScript in my Google Drive wherein whatever I'm teaching you, I'm adding all those notes just in case people like want to have a quick recap, right? Okay, so I have an important method, very important method in JavaScript which is called as parse int. Let me tell you what does it do. Suppose let's say I fetch something from the database, or maybe let's say there's a particular application, right? So let's say I'm going to flipkart.com. It is showing me a couple of products along with their prices. Suppose using Playwright I'm able to fetch the price. So the price that I fetch is usually in a string like this. So what do I mean by this? Suppose the price is like this, $24 or something, right? In this case, what I can do, my requirement is to fetch the number part of it. So in this case, I can use a method called parseInt. So what does this parseInt do? I basically simply pass a string value to it. So if I pass something like this, 24, and okay, let me just run it in the browser. It'll make more sense. Let me clear the console and I do this. Can you see? If I give a string value, it actually extracts the number out of it. So this is one use case. Another option is suppose if I do $24, it still gives me 24. What happens is as soon as parseInt sees a non digit, it simply stops the parsing then and there, and the output is just 24. So this is a very, very useful method that is useful only for the whole numbers. And this is something that we'll use very frequently, especially with Playwright automation. Okay. So just it's not that you have to remember it. It's something which is very simple. Just extract the integer part from any number, whether it is a string or something. So in that case, we can use parseInt. Okay. So with this, we have completed our next topic also. So the topic that we
Uh,
were actually into.
Hi. If we have any digit after dollar sign, then how it will extract?
No, it is not going to take. Why? Because as soon as parseInt encounters a non-digit number, it stops the parsing then and there. So if I have something like this, it is going to ignore. Why? Parsing will stop here. Everything else, I mean, everything on the right hand side will be ignored. That is how parseInt works.
Okay, thank you.
Fine. Perfect. So we have just completed this topic, which is called modeling data efficiently, right? So data type is a part of it. Now, let me talk about another topic, which is another very important one, which is controlling the program flow, wherein we'll talk about operators. Okay. So you might see there are some errors. Why? Because I've written this code just to make you understand. That's absolutely fine. I can comment them out and the errors should be gone. Okay. So now let me create one more file inside the JavaScript folder, right? How do I create a file? Just select the folder. I can even click on this plus button or I can either click on this right click and click on new file and make sure that the file should end with .js. Okay, so let me call it what, say operators.js. Okay, and notice that I see something like JavaScript written at the bottom. It clearly tells me I'm actually into a JavaScript file. Okay, so I'm going to talk about something called comparison operators, which is again very important feature in JavaScript. So what are comparison operators that we are aware of? Anyone who can share anything? What are comparison operators? Anyone who would like to share before I proceed? Any idea? Any rough idea?
Double equal.
Compares between two
Equal to,
operand.
not equal to, greater than or equal to,
Greater than, equal to? Yeah,
Double
yes, Rekha.
equal to,
less than or
Okay,
equal to.
less than equal to, correct.
strict equal
And
to,
Okay,
and or
okay, okay, that's great. So you guys have some idea, right? Let me tell you everything in very crystal clarity. So today we'll be talking about operators. So there are a couple of operators. One is greater than, then we have something called as less than, we have greater than or equal to. Okay, so I'm writing like this, so that is why VS Code is not very happy. So let me do one thing, right? So I'm marking it as a comment like this. Okay, yeah, so we have greater than, less than, then we have something called as greater than equal to, then we have something called as less than equal to, and then we have something called as equal to, which is very frequently used. This is called as equality. And then opposite of this equality is something called as not equal. Okay, I can write like this. This is not equal. And these four are self-explanatory. Everybody is aware of it, I believe. So I'm not writing it. So this is called not equal. And in JavaScript, we have something called as strict equality, which is slightly confusing to beginners. Is something called as strict not equality. Okay, so let me write like this: strict not equality. So these are very simple. So it is simply checking if one number is greater, one number is lesser, or one is greater than or equal to. Right. So why do we basically use them? So we use these comparison operators to make some kind of decisions. So it is very simple. So let me just go back to Google Chrome here. Now if I simply write like this, 10 greater than 1. And always notice that all these comparison operators do what? They return something called as Boolean value. When I say Boolean value, it means they return either true or they return false. There is no third Boolean value. So the output is always true or always either false. Okay. So you see, if I do this Boolean operation 10 greater than 1, the output is either true or false. And if I do something like this, minus 10 less than 1, again it is true. Okay. So I can do any kind of operation here, right? So let me give you some more examples. It's not just that we have to use only on numbers, we can even use it on strings also. Let me give you a simple example. Say if I do like this, hello dot length, uh hello dot length, yeah, I think this is the one that I've used. Okay, can you see this output? Hello dot length greater than Piyush dot length. So what is the output of this hello dot length? It is 1 2 3 4 5. 5. Is 5 greater than or equal to 6? No, right? 5 is not greater than 6. 5 is not equal to 6, so the output is false. Okay, so this is about comparing operators, comparison operators. Okay, so let us move on now. Just like I've shown you this, so we all these four are very similar, very simple, right? Now I'm going to talk about these four, which is very important. So firstly, before I start, we should never use these two. Okay, let me write it for you. Don't use this ever. I'll tell you why I'm actually talking about this. Same for this one. Don't ever use this. So we should only use these two. We should never ever use this equality and not equality. Okay. So basically there are two versions of equality. The first one is double equal to, and the second one is triple equal to. So what does it mean? In the case of double equal to, the first one, it simply checks for the value, but it does not check for the equality of type. And secondly, which is actually weird in JavaScript, so this double equal to, it coerces or basically converts both values to the same type and then it tries to compare them, which can lead to some unexpected result. Okay, so this might not make any sense to you and I totally understand that. Let me give you a simple example. So if I go back to my Chrome browser again, I clear it out, and if I try to do like this, 4 double equal to 4, the output is true. Why? This is a 4 as a number, this is also 4 as a number, right? So the value is same, the type is also same. So anyways, this should be true. What if I try to do like this, 4 double equal to string of 4. See, this is weird thing, right? This is a string of 4. This is a number, which is a 4. JavaScript is still giving me true. Why? It is only checking the internal value, which is same. But when it comes to type, this is a number, this is a string. JavaScript is completely ignoring them. And second part, it is actually converting both these numbers to the same type, and then it is trying to compare. That is why it is giving me true. So that is the reason why we should never ever use these two, equality and not equal to. Okay, so if I try to do the same thing with triple equal to, right, let me just add one more equal. Now it is giving me false. Why? It is checking, is 4 equal to 4? Yes, 4 is equal to 4. But it is also checking, is the type of 4, which is number, is it the same as string? No. So this is like an and logic this time. And logic, first condition passes but the second condition is failing. So that is why it gets me this output as false. I hope this should be clear, but if you still have some doubts, please let me know. Any questions, guys, on this? Anyone? No? Okay, so I see some of you. Yeah, okay. So let me move on. Right. So let's talk about this triple equal to. I can give you some more examples so that it will become very, very clear. So if I try to do things like this, 5 triple equal to 5 without single quote or double quote, what should be the output? Can anyone tell me? Anyone? 5 triple equal to 5. Should it
False.
return false?
False.
Correct. It should give me false. Why? Number is same, but the types are different. Okay, so it should give me false. Okay, what about this one? False triple equal to 0. If I write 0 here, I'm not writing 0. Why? It is going to show you the answer here. So what is the output of this? False triple equal to 0. Anyone?
True.
It is false actually.
False.
Okay, I'll talk about some more examples that is going to make things very, very simple for you. So 10 not equal to single quote of 10. What is happening? I'm using this one, which is slightly confusing. I'm using this one, not strict equality, normal, not equality. So in this case, I'm just checking, is this not equal to 10? Yeah, which is correct, right? So it is actually false. Okay. And the second one, if I do like this, 10, this is what is actually true. So is because numeric 10 is actually same as string of 10 in this case actually. Why? It is simply ignoring the type. But in this case, it is checking not just the value, but the type also. So 10 is really not equal to 10 because not just the value, even their types are not same. So that is why. Now I hope after seeing this example, you might understand that why we should not use this one, because this can be very confusing. So always use strict equality and this strict not equality. Is it fine, guys? Or any questions about this? Please let me know. Okay. Looks like we don't have any issues here. Okay, so let me move on. Another very important concept, what I'm trying to teach you. Okay, and I learned this very later on in my JavaScript career, which is something called as truthy and falsy values. Okay, so in order to make you understand this part, right? So I'll just write something for you. All values have an inherent truthy or falsy Boolean value. I'll tell you what exactly I'm talking about. So there are 6 falsy values in JavaScript. 6 falsy values. Okay, rest everything else is truthy. When I say truthy or falsy means true or false, right? Okay, so what are the 6 falsy values? The first one is false. Of course, we have something called a 0. 0 is also falsy value. Anyone can tell me what is this? What? How do I read this? What should I say? Is it a string? Is it what? Is it nothing? Anyone can tell me what is this?
Empty string.
String.
Correct. This is an empty string. Okay. This is called empty string. Notice that this is empty string. This is not empty string. This is a space character. So this is not empty. Perfect. Next one is null. Then we have something called as undefined. And finally, we have something called as NaN. And notice that the first N and last N are capitalized. So we have to be very careful about this. Okay. And everything else in JavaScript is truthy. Other than these 6 values, everything else in JavaScript is truthy. I'll give you some examples that is going to make things very, very simple for you. So the first example, Suppose I'm creating a variable called mystery and then I'm giving it an initial value of 5. Now, if I'm using an if condition, so yeah, I have not explained you if condition, but it is very simple. So I'll explain you simultaneously. What is this? So console.log, let me write truthy here, and then I'll write else console.log of falsy. Okay, so what is an if and else condition? So basically, if and else is actually a conditional statement in JavaScript that does what? Right, so it depends. If the value of mystery is say true, right? If this condition is true, this part gets executed, or if this condition is false, this part gets executed. To take a real life example, what do we do? Right, suppose if it is Monday, we do a calculation in our head. Is today Monday? I have to go to office. Else, I have to chill at home. Something similar, right? This is basically a decision making statement. If today is Monday, I have to go to office. Else, I can stay back at home. Right? So basically what happens is either this part gets executed or this part gets executed. But there's no way that both of these parts will get executed. Never. It can never happen. So either this will execute or this will execute. So coming to this truthy and falsy values. Anyone can tell me what is the output of this piece of code if I run it? Is this true? Usually we write either true or false, right? So I'm writing a 5 number. This is not true. This is not false. So what should be the output? Any guesses?
Should
Falsy.
Truthy.
Okay. Falsy, truthy. Okay, okay. Right. Any more guesses, guys? This is fun actually. Any more guesses before I run? No? Okay, I'll show you. So see,
Policy.
okay, this is not falsy. Okay, the output should be truthy. I'll show you why. So now I want to run just this piece of code and I'll simply click on the play button. See the output, which is truthy. Why? Let me show you. So which is the value that I want to check? Number 5. Now just look at this list and start comparing. Is this 5? 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 No, right? So is 5 a part of this list? No. So 5 is automatically truthy. Only these 6 values are falsy. Other than these 6 falsy values, everything else is truthy. That is what it means. Is it making sense? So inside the if part, this is the condition. So when I write 5 value over here, JavaScript will actually check internally, is 5 a truthy value or one of these 6 falsy values? Since 5 is not a part of this list, right? So this condition is actually what? True. If this condition is true, this part gets executed and this part gets skipped or not executed. That is why I see the output as truthy. Any questions in this? No? But
Whenever we will check if conditions, then JavaScript will check above five value, six values, right?
exactly. It is going to check from these 5 values. Only these 6 values are falsy, rest everything else is truthy. Let me give you some more example. So if I change this 5 to 0, any guesses what shall be the output now? If I just change 5 to 0, this time I'll
Now
get
it's
output as
falsy.
Also, see,
falsy. Correct. Because 0 is a part of this list, right? So 0 itself is a falsy value. So it means if false. This is what is happening. So if this condition is false, can you see this color is actually turned gray? Means this part will never be executed. See, unreachable code detected. VS Code is telling you this code will never ever execute because this is false. So if the condition is false, the else part gets executed. Let me just run it for you. So if I'll select this code, I click on the play button and see the output. It is false. I hope this is clear. Okay. So one more example to make it more simpler. Now I'll do like this. Let logged in user equal to say Piyush123. Okay, and now, okay, let me just use the same thing. If instead of mystery, let me write logged in user, and then I can say instead of truthy, you are logged in. Otherwise, I would say please log in. Okay, anyone can tell me what is the output of this code? If I run this code, is it going to be you are logged in or is it going to be please log in? Anyone?
You're logged in.
You're logged in.
Logged in.
Yes. Now I hope you get the concept. So Piyush 1 to 3 is what? It is basically a string. So now if I look at this list again, I have only one string, which is empty string. So only an empty string is falsy. Rest all the other strings, your name, my company name, everything else is what? Truthy. I hope you get it, right? This is what the output is. So if I run this piece of code now, it shows me you are logged in. Please ask me if you have any questions or else we can move on. Looks like the concept
So,
is clear. Yeah,
so
go ahead.
yeah, Piyush. So when this NAN scenario comes in, like when you cannot compute,
Okay, so basically this NaN is firstly stands for not a number.
yeah,
Okay,
not in.
not a number. So JavaScript is slightly weird as I was showing you. So firstly we get NaN when I try to divide something by zero. See, 0 by 0 is NaN. But the even more weird thing is if I try to divide 1 by 0, it is not NaN, it is infinity. I don't have the answer to this. I am not the JavaScript developer. So this is weird. 0 by 0 is NaN, 1 by 0 is infinity. Okay, so I can get NaN for other reasons also. Any doubts in this actually?
Yes, I have doubt. What is?
Mhm.
I'm not getting exact concept when it will come NaN. How means, how
Sorry,
can
please
I
come again.
track? How can I track whenever I execute any program? I'm getting NaN. Which kind of
Uh-huh.
error is this?
Okay.
Then
So
yeah.
basically, yeah, I know as a beginner this might be slightly confusing, but NaN firstly, it is just a value that represents this is not a number. If it was Java, it was an exception, but this is not an error. This is just a numeric value stating that you try to perform something, but this is not an error. Let me give you some examples. So if you try to do 0 by 0, you get NaN. Okay. And suppose if you try to do math.sqrt, so math is a very handy object. So it gives me one method called square root, right? Suppose if I try to do square root of 4, what should be the output? 2, which is correct. But instead of 4, if I try to do like this, say minus of 1, can I calculate the square of minus 1? Sorry, square root of minus 1. Not practically possible, right? So JavaScript is saying that, hey, hey man, I'm not able to calculate this option. I'm going to calculate this particular operation. So let me give you NaN. Means not a number. This is not allowed only. Okay, so this is one option, right? Another option, if I try to do parse int, say if I try to do parse int of what, I'm trying to give a string, so again it gives me NaN. So if I give something like this, one hello, you remember I told you it starts passing from left to right. So the moment if it sees a digit number, it converts it successfully. But if it is not able to find a digit, it stops there and there. Here I don't have any digit only, so it gives me NaN. Right, so basically parse int is all about I was trying to perform some operation but somehow it is not possible on this. So extracting a digit is not possible from here, give me NaN. Calculate a square root with an invalid number, NaN. Making sense?
Means whenever we are trying to perform any operation on the numeric and which is not feasible, then only we will
Correct,
get this.
exactly, you get it. This is what it is. I'm trying to perform some operation but somehow it is not possible in JavaScript. So JavaScript does not throw an error. So this is a JavaScript's way of telling you that hey man, this is not possible. But this is not an error. It is simply telling you not possible. But this is not an error. I hope this makes sense.
Yes, yes, it is clear now.
Okay, very well. So let me move on to the next topic, which is called as logical operators.
Piyush, one question.
Uh-huh.
Um,
Please go ahead.
that infinity, right? 1 by 0 if you divide.
Okay.
Will that come under undefined number?
Okay. So infinity is something that is, if you remember okay, if you just forget about JavaScript for some time, right? So
Okay.
whenever in JavaScript, sorry, not JavaScript, in mathematics, when we were a kid, we actually learned that whenever we try to divide any number by zero, even if it is 5, it is 100, we get something called as infinity. So infinity is like I cannot represent this number. That is called as infinity. But this is not NaN.
Not NaN. I was asking was undefined. There's one more faulty thing, no?
Okay, okay,
Undefined.
okay. Undefined you're talking about. So when
Yes.
do I get undefined? Is that what you are asking?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. I get undefined if I'll create a variable but don't give it a value. Say I create a variable called counter. So this time I'm giving it an initial value. So what is the value of counter? 0. But what if I don't give it a value? Now if I simply try to print it out, let's say, just a sec, console.log of counter. Now if I run this piece of code, the output should be undefined. See, because if I don't pass in initial value, right, it automatically takes undefined. So if you remember, I think in yesterday's class I told you undefined is something that is implicit, it is automatic, while null is something, yeah, here. So undefined is something that is implicit, automatic,
Yeah.
while something that is explicit. I have to explicitly give some value null, otherwise it can never be null automatically. Undefined can be automatic, null
Yes,
can never
I
be
got
automatic.
it. I got it, Piyush. Just one more doubt, like is null is equal to undefined,
Sorry, what's the question here?
like double equal to, right?
Oh,
So
double
null
equal to,
is
yeah.
equal to when you give null equal to undefined, it is true.
No, it's not true.
No, null
Yeah.
equal to. Is
Hmm.
it true?
Okay, let me show you.
It will be true.
Yeah.
Um.
Uh,
Hello.
Yeah.
Hmm. So, what do you think? What is going
Equal
on?
to is false.
Okay. So, see, when I try to do null double equal to undefined, right, it is true, but null triple equal to undefined is false. Why? Because if you remember, I told you in the case of double equal to, which is weird actually, it actually converts both these to the same type. So here JavaScript performs a type conversion or type coercion. So null and undefined are considered equal when using double equal to, which is slightly weird, which is not the case. But in the case of strict equality, here, right, I'm trying to compare null and undefined. So null is of type object actually, while undefined is of type undefined. So type of, okay, let me show you. If I try to do type of null, the output is object. And if I try to do type of undefined, it is undefined. I hope, is it fine?
Ah, it's
uh,
clear.
Piyush, could you please explain one more time because I'm not getting exactly. Sorry.
Okay. No, that's totally fine. You don't have to be sorry. But what exactly is the question regarding null undefined or
Null and defined, yeah, difference. I am unable to differentiate these two. Could you please explain
okay,
one more?
definitely. So see, what
Yeah.
exactly I'm trying to do. I'm trying to basically do null triple equal to undefined. So this is what strict equality. It checks value as well as the type. Now see, is the value of null same as undefined first? The value itself is not same. So there is no point in even checking the type. This is what I'm trying to check the type. But type check will help only when the value is the same. Right? Anyways, the value is different, so it is anyways going to be rejected. But in the case of null double equal to undefined, right? So this is slightly weird in JavaScript. This is called as loose equality. Here, JavaScript will try to convert both of these into the same type. So null and undefined are considered equal when using double equal to. That is why it is giving me true. So this is slightly weird. Ideally, in real time, you'll never do such kind of comparison. Is it fine?
Yeah, it's clear. No.
Okay. So any further questions, guys? But yeah, you guys will have to do a little bit of practice because whatever I'm teaching you, if you'll practice, you'll remember all these concepts. Otherwise, next week you'll forget everything. So please do practice. These notes will definitely help you. Okay. So let me move on. Now, I was talking about something called as logical operators. Okay, so I'll remove this. This is not a part of logical operators. So there are three logical operators. Anyone can tell me before I write them? Let us try to be interactive. Yeah, please go ahead. Anyone who can tell me? There are three logical operators. Anyone?
And double and or.
Okay,
And
okay. Is it a guess or is it something that you're sure? It
Plus,
was- it looks more
minus,
of a guess actually, but yeah, you are correct actually.
Okay.
and or.
Yes. First one is and, second one is or, third one is not. Anyone can tell me how do I represent this in JavaScript? This is just the way of this is just to
Ampersand
speak. Yes. So how do I
to
represent in JavaScript? Two
lamp.
ampersands like this, right? Because JavaScript does not understand this and word. It does not understand or and not. It understands this double ampersand. It understands this pipe symbol, which is or, and it also understands this exclamation, which is called as not. Not. So something to remember that and or we have two ampersand, we have two ors, two pipe sign, but for not we have just one exclamation. It is not two exclamation like this. It is just one exclamation. Okay, so in the case of and logic, what happens is we do what? we basically compare both the sides, and if both the conditions are true, then my output is finally true. What do I mean by that? So let me give you a simple example. In this case, look at this piece of code and tell me what is the output. So 1 less than equal to 4 and 9 greater than equal to 9. Anyone can tell me what is the output of this one?
True.
Okay. So is 1 less than equal to 4? Correct, which is true. Is 9 greater than equal to 9? This is also true. So true and true is what? True. Okay. Next one. I have something like, okay, let me show you one more example. So ABC dot length triple equal to 3 and 1 plus 1 triple equal to 4. Okay. Anyone can tell me what's the output of this? Is it
False.
False.
why? Because both of these conditions have to be true in order for the final output to be true. So this part is true, that is fine, but this part is false.
False.
So what is happening internally? True and false, which is going to be what? False. This is what is happening here. True and false, giving me false, right? So ultimately what happens is, I can write like this. True and true is true, right? True and false is false. False and true is again false. False and false is again false. The output is going to be true only when both the conditions, left hand side and the right hand side, are true. Is it fine? Any questions? Hmm? Okay, so let me move on to the logical operator. So JavaScript is very easy, guys. Okay, it requires is just understand the fundamentals and remember these fundamentals. So next one is the OR operator, which is uh, used by pipe. So what do we do in the case of OR operator? Let me show you. So 1 not double equal to 1 pipe 10 triple equal to 10. Think about this. Let me write the second one. So 10 slash 2 triple equal to 5 or null. Any guesses, guys? What is the output of first? What is the output of second? And second one.
First is true.
Okay, first is true. Okay. Second one and third one. So this is correct. So this is true actually. Why?
Because
This
second condition is getting true.
correct. This is false, but this one is true. So this is correct.
Yeah.
So yeah. So this is true. Perfect. Second one.
True.
The second
Yeah.
is also true. Yeah.
Correct. Because this is
Because
falsy
first
value.
one is,
First one is
yeah,
First one is true. Null is what? If you
true.
see, null is actually a falsy value. Okay, let me just close.
false.
Yeah. So null is a falsy value from this, right? So true or false is still true. What about this?
Exactly, I am not able to understand regarding difference between undefined and null.
Okay.
What it?
Who this person is it Satish?
Yeah,
Khatib.
Khatib is. Yeah.
Okay. So don't worry, Khatib, I'll make you understand. For now, let us proceed. At the end, I'll make you understand. Okay.
Okay, thank you, thank you.
Please do ask me if at all I forget. Okay. Yeah. So fine. So what about zero and undefined? Anyone can tell me?
False.
False.
And why is it false?
Both
Both
are
are false. I mean, zero is also falsy, and undefined is also falsy.
Correct. Exactly. Because in the case of OR operator, zero is going to be evaluated to either true or false. So what is zero here? Zero is a falsy value. False itself is a falsy value. So both of them are false. So what is internally going to happen? False or false is going to give me what? False only. Make sense? This is what is happening here. So the output of this is false.
Undefined means false, right? Yeah.
No, not undefined means false. See, undefined is also a part of this list. See, undefined and null are both falsy values in JavaScript. One of the falsy values. So null is a falsy value. Undefined is also falsy value.
Okay, comparing with this list, right? Oh, got
Yes,
it.
I'm always have to compare with this list. So
Means
mystery,
whenever any condition, then JavaScript will compare internally these five or six or whatever value is defined in the
exactly.
list.
Yes, exactly. So these six are the falsy values. Everything else is truthy. Like I gave you this example. Say here, mystery is 5. 5 is a part of this list? No. So here, this condition is true. So this part will be executed. Is it fine? Hello.
Yeah, yeah, it's clear.
Okay. Let me move on. So next one is the not operator. When do I say not operator, what do I mean? In the case of not operator, right, it simply inverts, or basically you can say it is like a switch. If my switch is on and if I just press it, what happens? Switch is off. If the switch is off, if I just press it, it turns to on. So in simple words, what I'm doing, I'm just toggling the switch. So now let me make it even more simpler for you. If I do this, null is what? Falsy value, right? But if I do not of null, it is what? Truthy, because null is what? Falsy. So not of null is what? Invert the value, which is true, right? Now look at this. Not of, yeah. Any idea what is the output of this one? Not 0 triple equal to 0.
It's false.
Exactly, because 0 triple equal to 0 is true, correct? So not of true is false. See, false. Okay. Another one. Not of 3 less than equal to 4 with bracket. I'm not putting the bracket because it will show you the answer also. So imagine that we have this closing bracket also. What is the output?
True.
Not true, it is false, because
False.
yeah, because 3 less than 4 is true and not of true is what? False. Right, guys? So not does what? It simply inverts, or you can say it simply changes to the opposite. So if it is true, it changes to false. If it is false, it changes it to true. Is it fine, or is it confusing? Hmm? Please ask me if you
See,
have any questions. Is it clear?
this value is true, right? Whatever value inside the bracket we have given.
Yes,
And
this is true, and not is going to change to true to false. If it was false, okay, let me do this. So let me make it false. How to make it false? Yeah, is 3 greater than equal to 4 now? Is it true or false? This is false,
false.
right? So not of false is true. That's it. I hope it is clear now. I know for people who are learning JavaScript for the first time, this can be slightly confusing, but with practice, we will get very comfortable with it. Don't worry. I also got comfortable this way only. Okay. So let me move on. So the next topic is what? Operator precedence. See, I'm teaching you only that kind of JavaScript that is required from automation testing point of view, right? Because JavaScript, if I talk about it, is like an ocean in itself, right? We can actually study JavaScript for hours and hours, maybe for years actually, and still not complete it. But I'm teaching you only that part of JavaScript that is required from automation perspective, based upon my 19 years of experience. I hope that is clear. Okay. So next one is operator precedence. When I say precedence, it means what? It means operator priority, in which order, in which priority they'll be executed. So if I talk about this and, or, and not, so not has the highest priority. I'll tell you what exactly I mean. Not has the highest priority, and has the second highest, and or has the third highest. Okay, so this is what is the priorities. So if I talk about from the priority point of view, not, second one is and, okay, and is this one, and third one is or, which is double pipe. But we can alter the priority. Anyone can tell me how can I alter the priority? By using something called as, anyone
Brackets.
can,
Brackets.
exactly, brackets, which is the, in India we have BODMAS, in US we have something called as PEMDAS. Okay, so we are talking about the brackets. So by using brackets, we can change the priority. Okay, let me give you a very simple example. Say I create a variable called x. Okay, so I can write like this: x equal to 7. Now if I write like this, x double equal to 7, or x triple equal to 3, and x greater than 10. Now, this can be slightly confusing. This can be confusing. Now, you might wonder, this part should happen first, or this part should happen first. right? In this case, we have to go by the operator precedence. So now we have one operator which is OR, we have one operator which is AND, and we know that as per the priority, AND has a higher priority than OR. So ideally, going by this priority, this part should happen first. But again, if you don't know this rule, this can be confusing. So to make it slightly better, I will always recommend always use these parentheses just to make it more safe, simple, and clear. Everyone who is looking to this code will understand that okay, this part has to be executed first. Whatever is the output, apply an OR logic for this. I hope this is fine. Or any doubts? Hmm? Is it clear? This is what I was talking about. So what is the output of this, guys? Is it true or false?
True.
Oh,
Correct. Correct.
True.
This is true. Why? This is true, right? So it doesn't matter what this part is, because in the case of OR, right, one part has to be true. So if this is true, doesn't matter what this is. So the output is actually going to be true. Perfect. Okay, so is it clear or you have some doubts, guys? Nope. Next one. Let me talk about another operator called ternary. Okay, so can somebody please mute yourself? I can see your team's notification. I can also hear. So, okay, so ternary operator is something. Let me. Okay, before talk about ternary operator, I would like to hear from you. Anyone has any idea what is ternary operator? What is it used for? It
It's
is
a
similar. Yeah, go ahead. Anyone?
Short form of if else.
Short form of if else. Okay. Who was it? I would really like to hear. Is it Lakshmi?
Yeah.
That's a good attempt. In fact, it is actually correct. Okay. Anyone else? No?
yeah, checking the condition and based on the condition, pick up the first one or the second one.
Okay. Okay. Right. So basically, what is the real purpose of ternary operator? So I'll talk about the purpose. Right. So the purpose of ternary operator is basically if I'm having an if and else condition like this, right, I can convert this statement into one liner ternary statement. That's the purpose. Now it is up to you whether you want to do it or not. Right? In my case, if I'm a beginner, I will understand this if part better. But if I'm a pro or if I'm an advanced JavaScript user, I may say that rather than having these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines of code, why not convert it to one line of code? So nothing is right or wrong here. It's just about your experience, right? So this is called ternary operator. And as the name itself suggests, ternary means three, unary is one, binary is two, ternary is three. So what is the syntax? It is slightly different syntax. Let me show you the syntax first. So condition space question mark, expression if true, space colon, expression if false. Okay, now why did I use these spaces? Is it mandatory? No. But if I don't use these spaces, look at this. This is how it looks like. So if I remove the space, now anyone can tell me, is first line easier to read or second line is easier to read? Anyone can tell me. Is this better or the second one is better? What do you think? Which one is better? Anyone? No? This is simple, guys. So this part is more readable actually. Why? Because I have optimal spacings. So in JavaScript, it is always recommended to use optimal spacing because this is slightly harder for me to read because it is looking too much compact. Okay. So this is called ternary operator. Why? It has three pieces. This the first piece on the left side of question mark. This the second piece on the right side of question mark. And then this the colon that is a separator between the second and the third piece. That is what is called as ternary or three operator. Okay, so let me give you a very simple example in order to make you understand. So if I'm having a number, let's say I'm creating a variable called num and I'm giving it an initial value of 2. So this is my simple if and else condition. If num triple equal to 7. So what do I want to do? I want to say console.log lucky. Yeah, some people say number 7 is not lucky, doesn't matter. So this is what I'm trying to do. So here I'm having this if condition followed by an else condition. In the case of else, I would write console.log not lucky, or maybe say I would write bad. So what is the output of this code? Before I talk about ternary operator, simple, right? The output should be what? Bad. because is num 7? No, right? So the condition itself is false or falsy value. If it is a falsy value, this part is not going to be executed. This condition, sorry, not condition, this expression is going to be executed, and I see the output as bad. Now, how can I convert this statement into a ternary expression? Just look at this. Condition has to be there, followed by question mark, followed by expression is true, followed by expression is false. What is my condition here? This is my condition, right? So I'll simply copy it. On my Mac, I'm pressing Command and C. On your Windows, you press Control and C. Just copy the condition here, right? What do you have to write? Question mark. So write a space, the question mark. After question mark, again one space, right? Expression if true. What is the expression that is going to be executed if this condition is true? This part, right? So copy this part, write it here. What you have to write? Space, colon, space, colon, and space. So exactly I'm following this syntax as it is. And finally, after colon, what do I write? Expression if false. What is the expression that I should run if the condition is false? This console.log. So I'll copy this and paste it over here. Now this is totally your preference. Is looks like yeah. So is this looking better or this looking better? That is totally your call. Right? So this is how I've converted this if and else condition into a one-liner ternary statement. So what it says, if this condition is true, this part gets executed. Otherwise, this part gets executed. So this is how we did it. So I think this is also not bad. I mean, this is quite simple to read. Maybe as a beginner, you might find it slightly hard or slightly difficult, or maybe as a beginner, you may go with this. That is absolutely normal. Nothing wrong with this code, but this is one-liner statement. So it's a balance. You want to go with this or you want to go with this, right? Okay, so you can even use ternary operator to assign value to a variable. What do I mean by that? Let me show you another example. So in this case, let me create a variable called status, and I'm giving it an initial value of offline. So what exactly I'm trying to do? I'm creating a variable called color, and I'm not assigning an initial value. So what is the initial value of color? It's going to be undefined. Okay, and then what am I trying to do? I'm doing if status triple equal to offline, right? In that case, I'm doing what? I'm setting color to be red. Else, I'm setting color to be green. This is what I'm trying to do. Okay. So in this case, so yeah, so this is what I'm getting actually, right? So you can remove this because status is deprecated. So this is treated like a, you can say, a keyword in JavaScript. So if I use status instead of status, if I use status one, I will not get this. So let me use status. Okay. So okay, so this is a simple condition. This is my simple code, right? So what should be the output of this? In this case, value of status one is offline. I'm simply checking if status one is offline. Yes, it is true. So this condition is true. So the value of color will be red. And now if I try to print color using console.log of color, the output should be red or green. It should be red. Let me just run it. See, the output is red. Is it fine? Now, can I convert this if and else to a one-liner ternary statement? Yes. How do I do? Let me show you. Firstly, okay, let me copy the syntax again. So this is my syntax. Let me copy it here. So what is my condition here? This is my condition here. I'll simply copy this condition. What I have to write after the condition? I have to write question mark space expression if true. What is the expression if true? It is color equal to red, right? So I'll write like this, color equal to red. And then I need to write what? Space colon space, space colon space, color equal to green. Okay, so this is how I can convert this into a one-liner ternary statement, but I can even change it into a better option, right? So can you see this color equal to is actually duplicated twice? I can even change it to better. What can I do? I can remove this color equal to from here and from here. Okay, let me just not remove it for your reference. Let me just keep it like this, comment it out, and I can change it like this. So here I can remove color equal to from here, and I can remove color equal to from here. And at the beginning, I can write like this, let color equal to this one. Since I've already have this color here, let me just do this, right? And now this is my one-liner ternary statement. What is the meaning? If this condition is true, then return red. If this condition is false, return green. Whatever value I'm returning, just assign this to color. Same what I'm doing here. So this can be slightly tricky, especially if you're a beginner. So don't worry if you're not able to understand it. Some things you can understand only with regular practice. But this is just ternary statement is what? It is just a way to convert an if and else condition to a one-liner statement. And yeah, you can do this only if this if statement has exactly one expression and else also has exactly one expression. If there are more expressions, like if there are two console.logs here, for instance, you should never use this. Rather, you should not, you cannot do this. Okay. So here I have two expressions here inside else. How can I write multiple expressions here? Not possible. So here we should never use ternary statement. So it's a balance. We should understand when should I use, when should I not use. So with this, our operators topic is also over. And I hope I've actually explained you everything in detail. Any questions, guys? This particular topic is over.
Just one doubt. Like if we have nested if kind of statement, how will we write the ternary operator?
This can be slightly confusing, to be honest, actually. This can be confusing. So that is why I would recommend you, if you're a beginner, don't use ternary operator, especially in the case of nested. Why? It will be very confusing to read. Can you see? This can be slightly confusing. So I would recommend start with if and else, but as your practice goes,
Piyush, I just lost your voice. I didn't get you. Can you come
okay,
again?
I'm saying that if, yeah, I'm saying that if you are a beginner, go with if and else, not with ternary. Why? Because this can be slightly
Okay.
confusing to you as a beginner. So if this can be confusing, this multi-liner, or we can say nested if and else conditions can be even harder. I hope you're understanding what I'm trying to say. Otherwise, I can show you an example also, but that can be
Okay.
slightly
Okay.
confusing.
I mean, we can write, right? I mean, is there any restriction
No,
that
no,
we
there's no
cannot,
restriction.
will
You
not
you
be
can
able to
use.
write?
No, no, you can use that,
Okay.
but it can be slightly harder. Even it is harder for me
Yeah.
also to read. See, when I
Okay.
always make it a point, if whatever code I'm writing, if it is harder for me to read, I will not go with this approach. Doesn't matter what that approach is. As simple as that. Because I'm not working alone. I'm working in a team. My team will also see my code. If I'm not able to read it as a senior architect, right? So how would other person be able to understand? Is it making sense? Hello?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Any questions, guys?
Already one person asked about the difference between null and undefined.
Okay. Yeah. Geeta, what exactly is the question? Null and
Difference
undefined.
between null and undefined.
Okay. Fine. So looks like you guys are after this null and undefined. So firstly, the very first difference is what? Okay, can you tell me from this what does it mean? Hello,
Null.
right? So what exactly we are talking about? So firstly, we are talking about primitive types in JavaScript. How many primitive types in JavaScript we have? We have five plus we have two more, which is symbol and begin. But they are not very frequently used. So I'm not talking about this symbol and begin. Okay, let me just write it. But they are not used frequently. So I'm not talking about this. So technically there are seven, but they are not used frequently. So majorly we use only these two, these five. Okay. Now coming to null and undefined. So undefined is something. Let me explain it here. So what is undefined? So meaning of undefined is basically a variable that is declared but not assigned any value yet. What is the meaning? Say I create a variable called a. Am I giving it an initial value here? Yes. What is the initial value of a now? Why? Because I'm giving it a value. But what if I don't give an initial value? In that case, if I just print out the value of a, what is the output now? Can you please tell me? I forgot to ask your name. Was it Rekha who was asking this question or Geeta?
Eta.
Geeta. Okay. So Geeta, can you tell me what is the output of this? I'm not giving an initial value.
So,
this should be undefined. See, right? Because I'm not giving an initial value. And if you remember, I told you null is explicit, undefined is implicit. Implicit means automatic. So if I don't give this variable an initial value, it is automatically it is going to take a value of undefined. So undefined is implicit. And JavaScript automatically assigns undefined. Okay, let me write it for you. JavaScript automatically assigns the value of undefined. Right? That is why I was saying this is implicit. Okay. Next one is null. So what is null? Null means, okay, let me write it here. Yeah. It is a variable that is explicitly assigned with no value. Let me show you what it means. So let me create a variable called b and I'm giving it a value of null. So now if I print out this value, console.log of b, what is the output? Can you tell me, Geeta? This
Null.
time the output should be null. So do you see that what I was talking about? Undefined is implicit. Implicit means automatic. A variable will automatically have this value undefined if I'm not giving an initial value. While null is something which is implicit. It can never have value as null until and unless I explicitly assign the value as null. So null is what? Not implicit. So can I say explicit? This is what it means. So who sets it? Undefined is set by JavaScript by default, while null is set by can you tell me? Null is set by the developer who's writing the code. Make sense?
When sir, null is something value.
Null is actually a value. Like I'll give you a simple example. Let's say you're firing a DB query. So null is a very common value, right? In DB, we say I get a null value. Basically nothing. If I try to fetch the value of a DB column, which does not have any value, usually I get the value as null, which means an empty value. Okay, so if I want to check the type also, I can use the type of operator. Let me show you here. So if I try to do the type of operator here, okay, let me just clear it out. So oops, so type of undefined. See, type of operator does what? It returns the data type. So data type of undefined is what? Undefined, right? But data type of null is an object, which is actually a bug in JavaScript. This is not object. This is actually null. So this is the bug that is kind of low priority, low severity for JavaScript because it is there for ages now. Somehow they don't want to fix it. So type of undefined is undefined and type of null should be null actually, not object, which is not true. Is it fine? Or do you want some more example? Okay, let me give you one more example. So when should I use undefined? So in this case, when a variable is declared but not initialized, in that case, the value is automatically undefined. Or maybe a function that does not return anything explicitly. I've not taught you about functions, so you may not understand it, but just understand that null is something that is explicit, while undefined is something that is implicit or automatic. By default, any variable will have the value undefined because this is automatic. Null can never be possible automatically. I have to explicitly set this value. Is it now fine, guys, or is it still complex? Hello?
Yeah,
Okay. So, any further questions, guys? How's the feeling now about JavaScript? Do you think JavaScript is that difficult that you previously used to think, or is it not that difficult, or but possibly doable now? But yeah, of course, practice we have to do. But what is the feeling now? Really want to ask people like who have never done coding before. What do you think now? If I were to ask you, I see
Needs
Khat
practice, sir.
need practice. This is conditional here, right? I'm giving you the best. See, I'm giving you my best actually, but I expect the same thing from you also.
Yeah. And sir,
Okay.
one thing, will we implement any small project after this completion of course or some or not?
Okay. So in this, my job is to make you very comfortable working with sorry, not Cypress, working with Playwright and JavaScript. That is what my objective is. Making sense? So
Mhm.
if I want to accomplish this objective, I have to give you tons of examples, basically give you lots of assignments, right? And basically do a little bit of hand holding so that ultimately by the end of this course, you all should feel that, yes, I got my money's worth. That is what my goal is. Is it a good goal to have? Tell me honestly.
Yeah, that is fine. But
Right. So regarding the project part, right? So I'll be sharing some good amount of applications with you, right? Some what you can call them project, you can call them mini applications or project, whatever it is. But ultimately, we are going to have a lot of hands-on experience. That is ultimately what really matters. Plus, I'll be covering in depth about framework topics because that is
framework,
yes.
framework, means I'm not getting what
I'm
framework
talking about automation framework. And that's
means.
absolutely normal, Khatib, if you don't know much about frameworks, automation frameworks. We're covering everything from scratch. I'll be sharing with you bad practices. I'll be sharing with you good practices. Why am I sharing bad practices? Because so that you can learn what not to do. And good practices so that you should do more of it. Which
Framework
framework?
means like page object model framework or BDD framework. Are we talking
Oh,
about
yes.
that?
Yeah, we are talking about that. But page object is not a framework. It is more of a good practice. BDD again, it is more of a good practice than a framework. So framework is more generic actually. I'll teach you in the framework topics, but don't worry about the framework topics for now. I don't want to confuse new people with such heavy words like framework, keyword driven, data driven. So don't worry about this for now. We are very learning very basic stuff at the moment. Is it fine, guys?
Yeah, Piyush, sorry, like you already mentioned in the beginning,
Hmm.
but uh, rough
Yeah, yeah.
any rough estimation, like how long does this course go for 2 months?
Yeah. So firstly, no question is bad question. Please don't say sorry when you are asking a question. Okay, Satish. So coming to your
You said,
question.
yeah, you said in the beginning, like the hours that were mentioned in the syllabus are not strict. It can go.
Exactly, it can vary. See, okay, my point is I ultimately want to cover all the concepts. That is what my whole intention is. But sometimes what happens is people may ask me more questions, and in that case, I may have to extend my classes also. Like I usually give classes from 9 to 10, but sometimes see now it is 10:18. So what happens is sometimes people ask me more questions. I don't want to say no. In fact, I don't feel like saying no. Why? Because I just love teaching actually. This is who I am actually. Okay, so of course we have designed the course to be designed somewhere between 40 to 45 hours. It can be slightly less, can be slightly more. Doesn't really matter to me. Why? As long as I'm teaching the concept, as long as my students are able to grasp what I'm teaching, how does it really matter if I'm actually covering 42 hours or 47 hours? Making sense now? It's about completion of all the topics to the best of my ability. I should feel
Yeah.
that yes, I taught them right. They should be able to understand it. That's the whole thing that really matters to me, not the hours. I don't look at my watch and start teaching that way. Okay, it's 10 o'clock, my job is done. Let me close the laptop. No questions.
And one more question, sir.
Yeah.
Not related to this,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
related to the role of QA.
Okay.
What is the impact of after AI? What would be the impact on QA role?
This is a
Basically, people are telling ke it is.
this is a very tricky question you are answering me actually. Right. So to be honest, I feel that AI is something that is growing big time. So
Yeah,
I can be like Nokia. Have you heard about Nokia company?
yeah, yeah.
Right? There was a company back then when I started my career in 2006. There was a company called Nokia. It was going great that time, but it refused to change. So that is why nowadays nobody knows about Nokia. They just knew that there was a company called Nokia. Okay, so I can be like Samsung, I can be like Apple, right? Wherein I'm always eager to change with the changing times. So in the case when AI is growing big time, so we should of course we should always be upskilling ourselves. So that is why it's one of the reasons why you enrolled in this course. Why? Because 5 years back nobody knew what Playwright, right? So you want to upskill yourself, so you want to go with the changing times. So Playwright is going big time, so that is why you're enrolling in this course. Same for AI is also going big time. So with the changing times, I should know, I should learn how to basically do AI. And if you really want, maybe we can have a couple of sessions specifically for AI if the time permits. I'm not talking about AI with automation. I'm talking about AI in general. So this concept called as artificial intelligence or generative AI. So generative AI is something wherein I'm generating something. For instance, if I go to ChatGPT and I ask ChatGPT to generate some code for me, that is what I'm using the AI's capability to generate something, and that is called as generative AI, right? So I feel that I should definitely learn what is AI because I've conducted a couple of interviews. I have actually some people have shared their interview questions with me, and now even interviews have started asking how you have used AI in your automation framework, how you have used AI in your day-to-day testing. Now if you have never used it, what reply would you say? Will you say that sorry sir, I've never used it? If you say this, there's a very good chance that you'll never get the offer. So I would strongly recommend you should really understand about AI. Making sense now? And some
Yeah.
people, and yes,
Mhm.
one more thing. Some people say that AI will take away my job. That is absolutely nonsense. Because I feel AI is something that is there to help me boost my productivity. It is not there to replace me. This is my mindset. Okay, so of course I'm still using ChatGPT in my day-to-day work. It is actually making me more efficient. I can basically do more effort, more work in less time. So this is what my mindset is. With AI, I can be more productive, more efficient. So it's definitely not going to take my job.
Till the time manual testing is there, we have
Absolutely,
a job.
manual testing is never going away. Why? Because AI can never do critical thinking what you and I can do. Yasin, I can think
Yeah.
critically, right? AI is not supposed to do that. AI can just basically do some set task that has been programmed into AI. AI cannot think like you and me. I'm a human. You are a human. AI can never have this human
Yes, we
like.
have to give the instructions. Basically.
Exactly. AI is like a robot. Right. So that is what I'm trying to do. Specifically for you, Yasin, I'm actually thinking of some more concepts in AI, what I can do to make you happy and satisfied. Specifically for you. I know you wanted some AI topics, right?
Being a QA role, we should means ke upgrade always. We should upgrade our skills, right? In more in
Unfor-
automation and AI.
Unfortunately, Khatib, that is true. Why? Because times are changing fast there. You understand what I mean? Times are changing very fast. So
Mm-hmm.
today Playwright is going big time. And I could see that Playwright is really very powerful. But assume that after 5 years, there's another tool that comes up that is even better than Playwright. And that is going having a very big market. Unfortunately, we'll have to love it or basically learn it, right? Can we predict now at this moment? No. So what we can do is we always keep our eyes and ears open. Always keep our eyes and ears open. Whenever possible, keep upskilling ourselves. That is what separates normal QAs or average QAs with better QAs. Make
True.
sense? Right? Because average people will say, today is a cricket match. Let me just relax and watch cricket. Let me just watch, a new Netflix series. But a good QA will say, I'll focus on my learning first. If time permits, then I'll watch Netflix. But firstly, I'll focus on my learning first. Two different people, nothing wrong with them, just a different mindset. First one has a growth mindset, second one has a comfortable mindset. With comfortable mindset, we can never grow. We have to be uncomfortable if you really want to get comfortable in life later on. Sorry for sharing such brutal facts, but that is what I
No,
feel
this
is
is
true.
true. This is very true. We should accept this. This is very true.
Exactly. But accepting and actually doing it and performing it is two separate things.
Mhm. Yeah.
Right. Like I'm giving you a simple example. Currently, I'm teaching in Hyderabad, and I'm actually giving a corporate training here to 4 batches. I'm somehow I feel that I've given them my best. But when I ask them, "Have you really studied? Have you really practiced?" The answer is usually no. I don't know what to teach them. I can give my best, but I can expect the same thing from the student also. Correct? So same thing I expect from you. I know I'm giving my best. I'm actually studying a lot harder to give you the best content, the latest content, quality content. But I expect one thing from you, just a little bit of dedication and keep practicing whatever I'm teaching. I hope that is not too much to ask, especially when you are paying for this course, right? Any questions, guys?
Oh, thank you so much.
No worries. I could see a lot of you like I've never interacted with. I know it is slightly late, so if people want to drop off, you can. So session is actually over. I'm just here to answer if any questions people may have. No questions? I see one person, Sachin K. I've never interacted with him. Are you able to listen to me, Sachin? If yes, then please unmute. Looks like yeah. Hi,
Yes,
Sachin. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yes, yes.
Okay, okay. Right. So I could see you a couple of times. So like, how's your learning so far? If you're possible, can you just give a quick introduction?
Uh, okay. Right now I'm working as a principal QA engineer in
Okay,
Bangalore.
okay,
I'm more into performance testing.
okay, okay.
Like I'm using Jmeter,
Uh-huh.
and I have 10 plus experience, manual plus performance.
Okay,
Sometime I tested this APIs,
okay,
web automation, mobile automation. I'm new.
okay, okay. So you in automation testing, you're quite new.
Yeah, yeah. New.
Okay. So what are
But
your expectations, score, Sachin?
uh, uh, yeah, actually, whatever you are teaching, feel very interesting, and I also started practicing on that.
Okay, okay. Right.
Yeah,
I'm so
as
glad to
of
hear it.
now, it's going good. Yeah,
Okay.
it's all about the practice.
Correct. So thank you so much for an indirect compliment that whatever I'm teaching you're able to follow. Thank you so much.
Uh, you
Okay.
so much.
See, I really like to laugh. I really like to cheer. I don't like to teach you in a boring style because that is not who I am. I really feel that learning should be with fun. And I hope
Just
that you guys are also enjoying the way I'm also enjoying. I'm really enjoying when I'm teaching. Somehow I'm weird actually. I'm really enjoying my teaching, even though it is 10 o'clock. Okay. So looks like anyways, so we actually learned a lot today, guys. So please try to practice. You will get this video, and today was the last class for this particular free class. So if you have any questions regarding the enrollments or something, please do reach out to Isha Training Institute, right? So with that, I think we are anyways done. So I'll see you guys tomorrow then. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
just
thank you. Good night.
Okay, thanks.